What's up, guys? We are back with another Bandai Tamashii Nations Dragon Ball Super review, and this is another SDCC, well, former SDCC 2020 event exclusive. We are taking a look at the first Figuarts Zero on the channel, and the first one I've ever actually opened myself. The Dragon Ball Super, here we go, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan VEGITO. So this is a Figuarts Zero. It's not an articulated figure, but it's very much in line with the style of Figuarts, just in statue form. So we've got this thing here in a pretty snazzy box. I really dig the Dragon Ball event exclusive packaging. Always have. It's always stood out. Really striking. Love the black, and then of course the different color, because they're all different. So you've got the black and the blue for VEGITO, and this of course is a bit of an oversized package, bigger than my head. So you've got a shot of the statue there in the window. You've got VEGITO there kind of on the side, wrapping around with product shots on the side, and then more product shots on the back, and then more of that really awesome artwork on the side. Again, really love this particular style of packaging. It's probably my favorite packaging for the entire line. So yeah, let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here he is out of the package, our Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Figuarts Zero VEGITO. That's a mouthful. So this guy is a bit of a different thing for me as far as what I normally tackle, what I normally review, because it's a statue. But of course it is very familiar territory because it's Dragon Ball. So we've got a pretty awesome piece here, and I have been looking at Figuarts Zero kind of from afar for a very long time, so it's cool to finally get one in front of me. And before we get too far into this, I do need to mention that this of course was provided for review by Bluefin, so special thanks to those folks. I will put a link down below to the Premium Bandai site for this guy. He may or may not be available whenever you happen to be watching this. So let's take a look. Obviously we aren't going to see what this guy can do because he doesn't move. It is a statue. It's a static piece, but it's really dynamic, and that's obviously one of the big key factors when it comes to Figuarts Zero. It kind of takes the look and feel of a Figuarts figure, but then of course it applies a very dynamic yet static pose, throws a bunch of effect pieces, ground effects all over the figure, and I think they look really cool. Frankly, there are a lot of them that I have really wanted and just never bitten on for one reason or another. This guy, I think, is a really solid entry in this line. He stands about 9 inches tall to the top of this lightning effect piece, so it's a sizable piece. It's still relatively in line with Figuarts stuff. He is, of course, a little bit bigger, but it's all about the pose. It's all about the overall look, and he does have an interchangeable part, which we'll talk about. But as far as the overall piece itself, I am quite happy with him. I think he looks pretty fantastic. There is a little bit of extra detail in some ways to a Figuarts figure because of the fact that he doesn't have to move. So they have plenty of shading all over the bodysuit. I think you can pick up a lot of the blacks all over him, so it looks really nice. I really dig this burst effect that's coming out of the ground here. And then of course you've got the actual ground itself, which is kind of a metallic-y gray-green color, whatever that's supposed to be, but I like it. And then you've got the pearlescent green, blue, and kind of white effect that's coming out, which is actually how he attaches to it. So he's actually sort of sitting on it. And then you've got this crackle effect that wraps around him, which I really do like. It kind of conveys exactly how much power VEGITO is packing. And then of course you've got an actual effect piece for his blast coming out of his right hand, which looks really good. It's nice translucent, but it's also really pearly at the actual burst. And just in a general sense, I think he looks fantastic. I'm really happy with the pose. It conveys like a very, hardcore sense about him because VEGITO is a very headstrong, very powerful character. So it's a powerful pose, and it very much kind of shows off his power set nicely. I think the sizing is really well, and it should scale nicely with other Figuarts Zero stuff. And in a general sense, I just think it looks good. There is a swappable faceplate for this guy, which I think might be my preferred. So you can pop it off, and this is very reminiscent of actual Figuarts figures. So you can pop it off there, and then pop this guy on to actually have him, yelling, which I really like. That might be my go-to display for this particular piece here. If I can pop it on correctly there. There we go. And I think it looks great. Nice detail on the eyes, the mouth, the teeth, the overall, the tongue there. It's nicely painted, really well done. And I absolutely love the translucent hair with this guy. That was something I wasn't expecting. I thought it was going to be kind of a metallic-y finish, and it does have that kind of pearlescent look, but it's a very translucent piece at the same time. So I think it's sized really well. I think the overall pose is really nice. The sculpt is great, and just the idea of what's going on here is really cool. The ground bursting up, the kind of burst of energy and air coming out of the bottom, the crackle effect, and then the actual energy burst works really well. I mean, come on, this is kind of a quintessential Dragon Ball thing. And then just for comparison's sake, maybe for a little bit of scaling, you've got the Figuarts Zero next to the actual Figuarts. And I believe the Figuarts for Vegito here, the God Vegito, was an event exclusive last year, right? So you've got an idea of what they look like next to each other. Obviously very different things. Finishes are very different. Overall sculpt is of course very different. But the sizing is pretty decent. I think they look pretty similar, honestly, outside of the fact that the Zero has maybe a little bit more meat on his bones, but you get an idea of what they look like next to each other. So the articulated figure versus the dynamic statue. So overall, if you're a big Figuarts Zero guy, or maybe just a big Dragon Ball guy, or gal rather, this thing might be right up your alley. It does look absolutely fantastic. The sculpt on it is great, paintwork is great, the overall effect usage from the ground bursting to the effect at the bottom, the crackle, the energy blast, all of it works really well to sell the idea of an incredibly powerful Dragon Ball character, and frankly, you can't usually go wrong with fusion characters either. So if you're into Figuarts Zero, I'd say this is one to definitely take a look at, because it looks fantastic. It's going to display really well amongst your other Figuarts Zeros, or maybe just shoved in with some of your actual Figuarts to make a more dynamic piece among your actual figures. So that's going to do it for this look at the Bandai Tamashii Nations 2020 event exclusive Figuarts Zero Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Vegito. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.